Hey guys, today I am coming to you from my car on my hour drive to work. Yesterday, I seen a post. There was this guy who came out. He had a pretty large following, and he came out and asked, like, hey, what y'all think about the Fauci hearing? What do you think about your shot now? Did you take it for the bag, meaning cash? Are you happy about it? Are you wanting to get a lawsuit going? What y'all think? And I was so excited to see that. I was like, yes. So I screen recorded it and then I shared it. And then I went back to his page to see if he wanted to collaborate, and the post was taken down. So I DM'd him and asked him, why did you take the post down? Like, dude, we need to have these conversations. Finally, we're talking. If there's one good thing that came out of the Fauci hearing, it's this. Now we can all talk. And he said, yeah, I don't know why I did it, but I was getting spammed to my business accounts. And I said, listen, man, like we need to shine a light on this. And if we're not doing it, then who will? So I'm going to invite you to collaborate on this reel. I hope you accept. And he responded back to me, let's go. And he collaborated. And I woke up this morning to seeing hundreds of messages on there. And I thought, okay, I need to do a podcast on this because here's the thing. You got people that wanted it and were happy that they had it available to them. You had a bunch of people who said they only took it because they needed their paycheck. And then you have the other people who said, I would have done anything to not take this. I would have left nursing. And that's kind of my camp, right? That's why even still to this day, 5 years later, I had to find a place that aligned with my values and integrity. And I drive an hour to and from work. I work night shift, I work day shift because I know what I'm made of. I've lived a life of being uncomfortable, being a teenage mom, a single mom, all the things. Okay. So I knew that nursing didn't identify me. What does identify me is that I'm a follower of Christ. And when I had that discernment not to take the shot and the discernment to see what was happening to the shot and the courage to record what was happening in 2021 and release it virally to the world and let them see what I was seeing. Because at that time, it was all about being labeled misinformation, disinformation, people getting deplatformed. Those kinds of things. We later found out that Biden coerced Meta, and Zuckerberg came out and said, yeah, I was coerced. He twisted my arm for me to censor you guys, and I wish I never did it. Well, too little, too late. But what really struck me is that you have a choice, and we all made our choices. But those people that did make the choice to take the shot, there's a lot of them that are injured and they're gaslit by the medical community. So they're not getting any help. There's a lot that have committed suicide because they are in such distress because they're not getting any help. There's a lot of people that are still alive that are trying to fight with organizations like React 19. Okay. So as a community, a nursing community, our number one job is to protect autonomy and informed consent. And so whether or not you wanted it or you didn't want it, because let me go back real quick and tell you the history of this. 2020, this virus comes on the world. We later find out that it was gain-of-function research out of Wuhan lab that our government was sponsoring. Fauci was giving money, grants to the EcoHealth Foundation to do these gain-of-function research on the coronavirus, okay? That escaped the lab and it went out to the world. We went to work to help people. We did that all the way through 2020. Even when Trump was saying, hey, listen, I'm going to create a vaccine. We're going to get back to normal. Well, that vaccine came out in December of 2020. And by, January, basically, it was available to everyone. Well, what happened? Most of us in the medical community did not want it. So in March, April, they started talking about mandating it, coercing us, forcing us, violating the Nuremberg Code. Okay, if you don't know what that is, look it up. But you are not supposed to coerce anyone into an experiment. Okay, and that's exactly what this shot was. Fast forward to that summer, basically from my accounts, probably 15 to 30% max wanted to take this shot. Okay. And they took it voluntarily. They were happy to have it. 70% of us did not want it. And a lot of people, a lot of nurses left the profession. Okay. Because they weren't going to be mandated. Instead of standing up to it, like Jennifer Bridges out of Houston Methodist in Texas, she was the nurse that organized protests on it. Okay. And there was a lot of people that were backing her up. But the problem is that the nursing community was not doing that. And that's what I want. And I hope that changes. And that's why I keep speaking out. Because whether you want it or you don't, we all have the right to choose. And if we do not recognize these injuries, these people will not get help. And if we do not stand together as a nursing community, this is going to happen again. So let me take you back a little bit. We have the CARES Act, okay? The CARES Act gave funding for all of this stuff. But we also have the PrEP Act. And the PrEP Act gives liability and immunity free to all medical countermeasures, okay? So we can't sue because of the PrEP Act. So there is no lawsuit to be had. All right. Unless they go with it on another way, which I've heard RICO is basically the only way. And that's why I want to elevate our voices here. Then there's also the 1986 Act. If you don't know what that is, then you have not done your research. They don't teach us this in nursing school, guys. When we're taught vaccines, that little lesson is basically, here's the childhood schedule. These are the vaccines. They have saved countless lives, and it's the gift from God, okay? But in 1986, the vaccine manufacturers went to Ronald Reagan and said, hey, listen, we can't produce these vaccines anymore because we're getting sued too much. Okay. So then Ronald Reagan gave the vaccine manufacturers blanket liability and immunity free. What does that mean? That means that it is the only product in America that will never become safer. Let me give you an example. Let's say the manufacturer creates a car seat and that car seat gets into accidents and it's crushed and the children are injured or they die. They're getting sued. Now, if that manufacturer wants to keep that car seat on the market, it's going to have to go back and make it safer. Okay? Vaccines, they don't have to do that. They don't have to do that. Let that sink in. That's insane because we're all taught and we all believed. That's another key word, guys. I need you to understand that if you support vaccinations, it's only because it's a belief system that's been ingrained into us over decades. We thought behind all of that was massive amounts of research, but there isn't. And then when they do have the research that comes out, it is taken down off of these servers, okay? They're not even posting it. And that's what RFK Jr. is doing now. He is trying to get these research studies out there so people can see it. There's a couple books I want you to look at. Vaccines, Amen by Aaron Siri. We have Vax versus Unvax by Dr. Brian Hooker. There's another one, Turtles All the Way Down. Those are the big ones that people say changed their belief about vaccines. So what I want us to do and why it's been my passion to teach ethics is because we're not taught our professional code in nursing school. When we have any ethics learning modules at our hospital at the end of the year, if they talk about ethics, it's basically you have a person that is against their religion to take blood products. Do you give it to them or not? Right? That's basically all we ever hear, year after year after year. But you know what? It's so much more involved than that. It was the reason while I was able to record what was happening on my cell phone, showing what doctors and nurses and pharmacists thought in real time, release it virally to the world, get 18 board complaints against my license. They ordered me to undergo a formal ethics evaluation, and my license was cleared because of ethics. I did not stumble upon the Nursing Code of Ethics until the summer of 2021. And at that point, there was something in there that said that we are to expose danger to public health and safety, and we are to elevate it within our workplace. And if we're not being heard that, then it is our ethical duty to escalate that. The way I did it was recording what was happening and release it to the world. They polarized the medical community during COVID. First, it became the shot, and then it was Biden coming out and coercing healthcare workers to take it or lose their jobs. What we need to do now, nurses, we absolutely need to continue to have these conversations. Have these conversations at your nursing station. But just realize that people, because of a belief system, they are going to become emotional. But what we can do is just state some facts to get people to listen. Now, listen, guys, if this is of any benefit to you, I highly encourage you to share this, to like this post, to comment and review this channel so more people see Nurses Out Loud. I'm going to put the link to the show in the show notes of the video that started this conversation. And if you subscribe to the Substack, Nurses Out Loud Substack, I will be putting out an opportunity for all of us to get together and have a conversation and see how we can organize. I know there's been talk about creating unions and stuff like that. But you know what I've seen happen to people over these last 5 years is that people get money. They might come into it with the right intention, but they get money and power and they lose their way. So for me, I really don't want to go down that line, right? I want to just empower you to know your code, to live out your code, and to not be fearful. If you were a nurse during COVID and you witnessed these hospital protocols, I highly encourage you to submit your testimony to Senator Ron Johnson. He has committed to holding a public hearing on the COVID hospital protocols in DC in December. And I'll have the link to that Substack article in the show notes as well. So until next time, friends, be safe, be well, and God bless. Thank you for listening to Nurses Out Loud. Nurses are called by our code of ethics to keep learning, do the research, and lead with moral courage and integrity, especially as healthcare changes. Keep doing the next right thing, especially when it's hard. If this show resonated with you, please like, share, and follow. It boosts us up in the algorithm so more people can find us. Until next time, friends, be safe, be well, and God bless. And if this episode offers continuing education credit, check the show notes for the learning objectives, disclosures, and exactly how to earn your certificate.